Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kimberly Lebbing, and I'm here to bring you another episode of Thinking Upgrade and unlocking your mindset potential to accelerate your success in business and in life. And I am here today. I'm so excited to interview my friend. She is a leadership coach, Janet Martin. She is an expert in communication and leadership and bringing those things into companies and organizations. She does team building, and we're going to learn some success tips from her today and some of the things she does. So I'm really excited to learn from you today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to do this with you.
You are quite welcome. So I'm going to get right to it. So tell us first a little bit more about your business.
I am a speaker on leadership. I like to go into organizations and make them laugh a little, make them feel a little, and get them reconnected with their peers and coworkers. I like to go into companies as well and do the same thing, team building, try to get them to kind of stretch a little bit out of their comfort zone. You know, people tend to get into work mode and they have their blinders on, and then they start just doing what they need to do instead of doing what could actually be amazing with just taking a few extra little steps, right? Just to care a little bit more. And so my job is to go in and find out what the elephants are in the room and do it in a way that you're not pointing fingers at somebody, right? You don't want to bring somebody down, but usually people know what the problems are. But it's the capability of bringing them together, being able to say, these are the issues. How can we make it better? And then give you the tools to do that.
I love it. I love it. And as coaches, I mean, I know we do different things.
Yes.
But we are trained, and I know you are too, we're trained to see those problems in a way that other people may not be able to be trained to see, so that we can help them get to those next levels, right?
Right. Very much so. Yeah. It's kind of, everybody talks about these things, right? But they don't talk to the right people, and they don't do it in the right context. So that's when I come in and I say, okay, let's go ahead and laugh about it a little bit, but let's get serious and let's do some mindset changing, just like you do in your coaching business. I think what you do is amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I'm curious, and I know a little bit, but I'd like for you to share, what's your backstory? Like, how did you get started in this? And, why are you so passionate about it?
Oh my goodness. So there's actually several different elements. One, it was the way I was raised. I was raised in a very strict household that was, we say you do, not really having that voice, and then becoming a people pleaser. Having to break that down. I felt like I had all the skills and all the knowledge to be a good leader in whatever level of the company or the organization that I was with, but my people pleaser skills were making me suffer. And so I've had to do a huge mindset changeover and learn that I can be kind and I can still be loving in what I want to do, but make sure that everyone is accountable, right? Because a lot of the times that I allowed others to sway me into another direction, it actually wasn't conducive. It wasn't positive for the organization or the company, or even in my personal life for myself or others. And so teaching that accountability, all that kind of thing, really helps grow people while you're growing an organization.
Right.
And so part of it was growing up with strict household kind of thing and not having a voice. Then when I started when I was in college and going through communications and learning about conflict management, and I just became so fascinated about it. And I started working for an organization where I was working in kind of like the sub building area, and so it was very limited on growth, on being able to move up in the organization. And instead of me being depressed all the time and saying, oh my gosh, I have to change careers if I want to stay here and move up and in management or whatever, in pay. And I started looking into more leadership courses and really just dove in and thought, okay, so this is how I can make a difference. This is how I can be a leader in where I'm at right now. And I just saw the results from that for the patients, for customers, for my coworkers, and just the energy change in the office was just amazing. And so I mean, how can you not be passionate about wanting to help others and be kind and make more things happen, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you brought up that people pleasing, because I have never really thought about it and how that runs, or how would that, well, I'll just ask you, how would that work in a corporate setting, the people pleasing? Like, how would that affect their organization? Because that's something I come across a lot with my clients, but it's, in a different context. It is a problem for a lot of people because it can totally screw up your goals.
Yes, it can. Because you tend to put yourself on the back burner, or you avoiding conflict was a huge thing for me. I just didn't want to, not that I didn't want to deal with change or anything, because I love change. I love that. But it's the other people who did not embrace change, right? They were always the ones that were angry, and I don't like angry people. I like to be happy, and I like to be forward moving, and it so the conflict part was part of it, but then the people pleasing part was the other. Like, well, okay, the positive side of being a people pleaser is that you listen, you do a lot more listening, and you do a lot more negotiating, and you take other people's ideas, and then you see what works, and you're willing to give it an opportunity. But when you've already got a goal set in place that you've already pondered over and developed and all that, and then you have somebody coming in from the outside saying no, or something negative, it demolishes everything, and then it also holds back progress.
Right. So and I would imagine in a bigger organization, in a company, that could really throw them as an organization off. And then the things that you do with communication and teaching them how to do that would really help pull all that together.
Yes, it's very important. I think people forget about that kind of thing, but then they wonder why they're struggling so much. And then when I come into play and say, hey, have you thought about this? Well, yeah, but are you doing it? No. And usually it's emotionally driven. That's the other thing, is when you're dealing with so many different emotions and so many different thought processes, you got to try to figure out, like, how you're going to come to that even ground to make progress happen. Like, agree to disagree, but not really.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm curious, what kind of problems do you see with organizations that might need your services? Like, what would be some things that you help with?
Well, people that don't want change, the ones that when you go in and you say, oh, well, why is this being done this way? That's how we've always done it. Or, why are we going to change now? I should just quit my job while I'm ahead, because you're just going to change everything. And I say it in a funny context, because there's people watching this right now going, I know so-and-so does that and so-and-so does that. And it's like calling people out, but, trying to do it in a more positive way, or not so finger pointing. That's totally not what I'd go in and do. Like, let's go ahead and point all the fingers out, because normally when you have a person that is set in their ways, or very negative thinking, doesn't really work well with others, that kind of thing, they're usually the ones who stay in an organization. So you may have a great purpose for being in that organization and your heart is all in it, but if you have people like that driving the good ones out, your organization is going to crumble, and you're going to wonder why. And that is what I go in and fix.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because and I'm sure it's a huge need, because as you were talking, I'm thinking you need to probably get in contact with my daughter's work.
I know everyone's probably thinking, we need to get like the Karens out, and sometimes it's just, and you have to understand, like, why people do that. Some people are very not personable, not because they don't want to be. It's because they've either had something happen to them in the past, which you obviously, you know this when you're going through this mindset change, when you're counseling or coaching people, that usually it's something that happened in their past. It's not usually
Right.
something that happened right at that time that sets the stage for the rest of it. You know, some people are easy to pivot, like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good, all right, thanks for that, you know. But some people are really difficult because it's just a pattern that's been happening to them. So then what they do is, instead of trying to figure out a way to do something more positive and continue that path, they just close into themselves and keep their eyes on their work, right? And then you don't want to approach them, and they might be the smartest person, they might have been there the longest, and they have so much knowledge that should be given out to these other, you know, people in the organization, just to make the organization like, hey, so and so taught me how to do that, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Like, you really need to get to know that person. That is
Yeah.
so important. Connection and influencing others. So
Yeah.
that's another huge thing that I coach on.
Yeah. What a great service for companies to work with you on this. So, we kind of already answered this. So who specifically, what kinds of companies do you serve?
I work with churches, I work with nonprofit organizations, companies that have 10 or more people. It's always important. You know, the other thing is assuming. That's another huge thing that can break an organization.
Mhm.
Everyone's assuming that that person was told or that they should know something. And we need to kind of get rid of that mindset too, that way of thinking, and just remember, like, use words. Like,
Right.
oh, yeah, maybe they don't know. Maybe you need to remind them, you know. It's
Yeah.
so pretty much anyone with breathing people that actually are part of an organization that could use the team building, that could use the tweaking of uh the mindset in the company or the organization.
Okay. Awesome. Great. And this is more, so I'm going to flip a little bit to more personal.
Okay.
What has been your biggest struggle, like in your business, and how did you overcome it?
Well, so life happens, and things okay, I'm going to dive a little deep in here.
Okay, go for it.
I had this rare mass. The first one I almost died from. It had infected and poisoned my body, um, and that was kind of the starting point of having repeat surgeries. The rest of them were just this type of mass in my pelvis that kept growing. They kept trying to take it out, so it was like constantly having to stop and start. All right, and then start again with my goals, and then stop again because of testing or surgeries, and then recovery, and then let's see what happens next. And then I found out I couldn't have children when I was around 24 years old, and that was devastating to me. And I ended up in relationships with children that did not have a mother figure, and but unfortunately the father was not exactly the the father of the year or the husband of the year by any means. They ended up being very narcissistic, alcohol abuse, then dove into drug abuse, you know, drugs and things like that. And I couldn't, I kept thinking, like, what? I don't do any of this stuff. Like, how am I attracting these people? And after all these years of going through that, and now being in a healthy relationship, now being able to reset and just jump back on that, you know, that goal train or whatever you want to call it. Um, it's it's been hard. You know, you have to get over the the verbal abuse and some of the physical stuff, but mostly the mental abuse. And when you're going through that abuse, you start pulling yourself away from everybody, because that's obviously what they want you to do. You don't want to hear any of the negative stuff. So the less you do, you think you're better off. And no, you're better off making a plan and getting out of that relationship, and then resetting yourself and getting back in your goals and in your life and what God had put you on this earth for, right?
Right.
And that took some time. That just happened yesterday. It's probably been like 4 or 5 years in the making. I also had a friends who I thought was wonderful. She had a lot of issues, and I felt like I was back in a bad relationship again too. So I needed to remove myself away from that person. And now I'm on this path that I feel like I've been put on this earth for, and I just want to grow people and give them value and pay it forward.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I didn't know all those, those details. I love when people go deep. So it's good. And it's something, I mean, that's an example I use too with people with what I do, because you follow you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, when we see people having the same thing show up over and over again, it's a subconscious program that's running for whatever reason. And I know you know that and you worked through it. So I applaud you for working through it
Thank
in
you.
a relatively short amount of time. 4 or 5 years is not that long. My journey was a whole lot longer than that.
I'm still working on it.
Yes.
I'm still working on it. I have my days, but I think, with, my husband being such a wonderful human being and so supportive and loving, it definitely helps heal, I think, me a lot quicker than being by myself probably.
Yeah.
And then just, of course, I've been getting out and networking with a lot of people, especially like you. And I mean, it's like the world is good.
Yeah.
Just I take in every single good thing, and I count that as an amazing blessing, and I run with it. I keep, it's another step forward. It's like putting stepping stones in front of you. Yeah.
It does. It shows.
Thank you so much.
So, what has been your key to success?
Never give up. And my tagline is aspire to inspire, and do it always. And I really feel that even if you're having those down days, find someone else put a smile on their face. Find somebody else to lift up. And I guarantee you that you walk away feeling a little bit happier, and you can hold your chin up a little bit higher.
Yeah, that's great advice, really. And I know we're in agreement on mindset and how much that plays a part to whatever it is you're doing. In my opinion, I think it's key,
it is
number one.
huge.
It's huge.
Yes. And yeah. And it does take time to get it right. And don't try to do it by yourself. I used to be one of those that was, you do it by yourself. No one's going to help you. You're always going to do something by yourself. And I got to the point where I was like, no, I think I need other people. I was always taught that, don't depend on other people. But the thing is, don't depend on them for money and things like that. Depend on people for the skills that they have, for the talents that they have, and lean on them. Like, don't be afraid to lean on somebody until you get past that point where you're like, thank you.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm totally in agreement. And I was one of those people too. I really didn't know what I didn't know in the years that I spent trying to fix myself, and until I ran across what I'm doing now, which is fast. It is fast now, but it took me a while to figure out that process for sure.
Right.
So yeah, I love that. So I know we're in the same mindset of all that it really does need to come first. And finding help is huge. And even, I have a business coach, and one of the things that she says is, when you're investing in your business, whatever it is you need, whether you need communication, leadership skills, within your organization, or you need some help getting past something, like with what I do, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, she says, money buys speed. So money, when you invest into your business, into yourself, into your organization, whatever it is, it speeds up things so that you can achieve goals faster.
Yes. And that goes into you can't do everything by yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
I
That's
also,
what.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I remember way back when I was, I still songwrite and sing and that, but when I was initially starting to do that and creating my own CD, I mean, I was obviously funding it all myself, and then I was having to do the graphics for posters and things like that for myself. I was like with the cook, the server, the bottle washer, and the bathroom cleaner all in one. And the thing is, if you meet somebody, that's why this networking is so big. I mean, that you're connecting, right? You're connecting, you're learning about other people and their skills. Use other people's skills, pay them for what they are worth, because let me tell you, you may think somebody is charging $500 for something and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so much money, but they will do all of that for you so you can focus on your platform, on what you do best. And when
Right.
you have it done, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And
Right.
embrace it. So embrace it. It's an amazing gift to be able to utilize other people, and people are happy to do it. We wouldn't be offering
Absolutely.
it. We wouldn't be doing it if we weren't happy about doing it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. So tell us how, I know you've got a couple of programs or things coming up. Tell us
Mhm.
about a little bit about those, and then also how can people connect with you?
Okay, so I already have a vision board event coming up next Tuesday. That one's already full. I am planning to do one again in January, about the 16th, I believe. So keep looking out on Eventbrite for that, and of course on Facebook. And I am also doing a webinar on LinkedIn and Facebook next Monday, and then doing it again on the 16th of December to talk about this mastermind group that I have coming up starting in January on the 4th. So I hopefully you guys can meet with me and join me for the webinars. It will be on Zoom, and I will have a replay for it if you can't make it at 3 o'clock on Monday, this coming Monday,
Awesome.
December 6th.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And then if you send me the links, I'll put those. If you're watching live, look for these to be put into the description, because I'll add those
Okay,
so that everybody has the links on how to get in touch with you on all
great.
those.
And you can go to JRM, so for my full name, Janet Rumi Martin, sources.com. And I have a landing page there. And if you'd like to get more information on it, you can just put your information in and I will reach out to you via email and give you the details.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience today?
Just don't ever stop growing. Don't ever stop learning. That's part of what leadership is about. That's about what positive mindset's about. And again, always aspire to inspire. And thank you so much for having me on today.
You were great. So thank you so much. I know our audience was blessed to hear what you have to say. I think you're an awesome individual.
Thank you.
You
So are
know, you
you.
have a beautiful voice. We didn't even talk about that, but she has an amazing voice
Thank
as
you.
well. So thank you so much for being on. And if you're catching the recording, please reach out to Janet, and she'll get back in touch with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening today.
Thank you.